Hello YouTube and welcome back in In-Flightsim, and today we're back in the DCS World Mission Editor, but we're coming at you with another Mission Maker Series episode. So the next mission that we're going to start to look at is more of a precision strike kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to be operating off of the carrier out here, and we're going to go and do some strikes against Tabka. I suppose the scenario that I want to try and make is that Rebels have taken over the airbase, and Coalition is now concerned that they're going to get their hands on some Syrian equipment. Although it's old, they could still figure out how to use it. So I suppose what we're going to do is we're going to go and destroy the airfield, the assets around it, and the facilities such as the fuel, weapons, and so on. So it's going to be quite a big strike package that we're going to put together. So we're going to primarily be using the carrier and its aircraft there. So I've gone ahead and set it up here, and I've got some templates just to the side so I can select the one. So I've gone ahead and used Carrier Wing 7 for those of you that know all about that sort of stuff, just because it's got a few squadrons that I quite like. The VFA 103s, Jolly Rogers, pretty cool. So these are all the separate squadrons. We're going to be using the Charlie model today to actually fly the mission, but we'll use the Super Hornets as well and that sort of stuff to support us and help us with the strikes and so on. And then maybe we'll see how that gets on. We might put in some maybe some adversaries, airborne adversaries, and maybe we'll have some F-15s, Cs out of King Hussein Air College there, providing some air support there, not air support, some providing cap for us to protect us as we go in and strike. We'll put maybe some growlers either side as well, covering in case there's any pop-up SAMs or that sort of stuff. So we'll see how we go, and we'll see what we think. So my biggest concern is I don't want to overload my system, and then it's just I can't fly the mission just because it's just stop start in terms of frame rates. So that's the idea anyway. We'll see how we go, and we can change things as we want. So first things first, we're going to come up to Tabka Airbase, and we're going to start to populate it a little bit. These assets that are already here, they were here from the Mission Maker Series template that we built initially. The only thing I've changed now is that I've changed them from hidden to viewable, so we can sort of so we'll see them in the mission planning. Because in real world you'd probably have intelligent satellite pictures that will show what's about the airbase, that sort of thing. I suppose in the scenario that we wanted to sort of create as well is we don't necessarily know if aircraft are being stored inside these shelters, so we might have to destroy some of these shelters as well. Obviously there is one or two aircraft inside them, but again it's just another layer to the scenario, I suppose. Okay, so let's go down, and we're going to start populate with some hostile or enemy ground vehicles and so on. So we're going to use some statics for this just because they're a bit lower sort of impact on your system, really. So insurgents, see what we got. So we should have pretty much everything really. So again, we use some of these sort of vehicles around the place. We can just plop them anywhere really. So the primary target is going to be the aircraft and the sort of the infrastructure of the airbase more than the sort of the insurgents vehicles. But here we go. They could be secondary targets if anybody's got any stores left over, that sort of thing. As like I said, we're not going to make it too crazy, but we will give them some stuff. Maybe we'll put one or two tanks in there, because they have captured tanks over the past. But we might make them sort of active vehicles, because then they can attack us. So some old school Russian stuff there. T-72. It's a bit newer. It's very dark, that is, isn't it? Crikey. Captured Russian stuff or previously Syrian stuff. Definitely not going to be a UN tank. We'll go with Russian Autumn, shall we? Makes no difference to me, to be honest. Don't want to drive them because it's not for us. So that's fine. Maybe we'll just dot them about, I suppose. Again, these should engage us a little bit once we're over the area in space. But again, we'll start. I think the plan will probably be to use precision weapons because we can drop them from altitude. Maybe we'll have some aircraft come in with some dumb bombs, you know, just to sort of lay down the runway. Maybe they can be the ones that attack some certain buildings. Maybe, you know, the soft buildings rather than hardened shelters. That sort of thing, or aircraft that are out in the open. But we'll see how we get on. So yeah, maybe just one or two tanks. I don't want to go too crazy. Like I said, I don't want to kill my system. Then we'll also put in some ground units in terms of personnel, so infantry. And I want these to be. Could these be Stinger maybe? I don't know. But they can certainly be sort of just holding AKs. I don't like the spacing that it gives you sometimes. So I'll say looks like these guys are having a bit of a chin wag. Something like that. Maybe we'll just put a few of these dotted about as well. So what should happen is as we fly around, if we get close enough, they should start firing at us, I think. Which would be pretty cool. Again, just adds a little bit of excitement to the mission. So I might have to go to combined red to get so we've got some new kind of assets since last time. That's fine. We'll have an RPG dude. Not that they're going to get us, but again, maybe we'll put some local anti-air in as well. So yeah, let's come on. Air defense. So just once. Maybe something basic, not quite World War II style, but so yeah, I don't really know much about sort of a lot of these things. Here we go. Here we go. These are where the Stinger guys are on manpads. Do we have? The Stinger dudes are a little bit better at hitting you, I suppose. But we'll use these guys. Again, they can just be dotted about the place. Maybe not everywhere, but certainly in and around their buddies, chatting. So maybe put in like a static convoy here as well. Just so that way. Control, copy and paste. I want some sort of troop carrier. Again, I don't really know what the names of these things are. I should do. I need to make more I suppose. But I'm trying to find the right one. Like a flatbed truck, that'll do. Yeah, I'm not going crazy. Again, it's low poly, which is good. Oh, it looks low poly anyway, which is good because again, we're not really going to see them that much. Like I said, these things are probably like secondary targets. So I don't need them to be too intensive in terms of what they're giving off frame rates wise, which is fine. Okay, so we can make that can be enough for now, and maybe we'll run this. I might run the scenario offline to see if it's enough, and then if it isn't, then we can come back and add some more in another episode. I'm only not going to add it now just because it's just a bit too early, really, I think. So that'll do for now. So we'll start looking at building our strike package and what we want to do. So we'll be, if we're going to fly the Charlie, let's come down and select what we want to go ahead and blow up. So, because I fancy quite using JDAM, so we might be responsible for destroying these two HAZ sites here. That might be our role. So we'll use some penetrators, JDAM penetrators, the 2,000 pounders, which would be pretty cool. So anyway, let's come and set up our carrier a little bit anyway for the op. So I've already set up a helicopter, or a search and rescue helicopter for the departures of the aircraft. So it'll take off and it will just fly next to the carrier as we move down whilst everyone departs. So I suppose next we would have an E2 depart. I think that's usually how things go for them. So maybe we'll set these off on the runway as well. So this could be flight 1. Let me just have a look and see what the other AWACS guys are doing. Don't want to see ships, Phanteks vehicles. Just want to see planes and helicopters. So AWACS North. Why is he hidden on the map? That's fine. Doesn't matter. He's magic. AWACS 2 is magic. The rivet join is focus. South AWACS is wizard. Solex. So that's fine. No, not Pontiac. This guy can be Darkstar. Darkstar 9-1 can be the AWACS for the carrier. And that's our badge yet from VAW 121. So he's going to come out, and maybe we'll get him somewhere that makes sense, I suppose. So we don't want him too close to Russian stuff. So maybe we'll set him up there. What's this transit zone? That's half an hour transit for him. And he can go up to, I don't know what, 23,000 feet. I don't know how fast these things travel at, to be honest, or cruise at. Then at waypoint 1, you want him to orbit, and he can orbit in a circle at 330 knots. And stop condition. He can be up airborne for, and let's just say 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 3 hours 30. But we will put condition in that states, I think it's RTB on bingo fuel. Now it'd be nice if we could set the bingo fuel, but we can't, so we just have to go with whatever DCS has decided is the bingo fuel for an E2. Obviously it varies anyway depending on how far away you've flown and all that sort of stuff, but in general. So we'll put him there. So let's just run this scenario a little bit, because I just want to make sure he's not going to crash into our heli chopper as he gets airborne. Because again, I've got the helicopter starting on the runway as well, so I don't want them to collide. Because again, just sometimes the logic that the AI uses isn't flawless. So E2 setting up. There's our helicopter. You can tell that the mission's quite hefty already just because of how long it's taken to load the textures and stuff. So this could be the issue. And I can't select which cat he's going to launch from. Because again, I wouldn't have him launch from there personally, because he's going to smash right into those Super Hornets, but I'm completely asleep. So our helicopter's off on his way. He's going to go ahead and move around. So we should be alright. Look at it. So there's the signal. So I put some statics on the ship as well, just to bulk it out a little bit. There we go. Move these away. Nice, so we're alright there, I'm happy with that, that's fine. Cool, so next let's start building up the other stuff. So that AWACS realistically is probably going to have some sort of cap out there with it. Some F-18s maybe doing some protecting that asset. So I might just put a two ship in there of those. So let's go for we want some echoes from 143. So again, these guys can do these take off from parking hot? So let's just call these AWACS cap. And what did I say? So VFA 143 is going to be Colt flight. So because these are after the AWACS, these can be 9-1. So what I've got is each squadrons, I've given them how they're going to use specific call signs. So VFA 143 will always use Colt. VFA 103 will use Uzi, and so on. So let's come down here and air-to-air missiles. Again, because I can't. They don't need a pod really for defending that. So air-to-air missiles go on there like so. No, they're not actually going to engage anything, but just for effect, they can do. Fuel tanks on there. So did that actually add fuel? Yes, it did. So we'll have a two-ship. Super Hornet's doing that. I'm not too bothered about the tail numbers because these skins aren't bought liveries. I think that's what they're called. So it's not really gonna not gonna make too much impact or anything like that. So yeah, we'll find that. So we'll say that they're gonna come out to here at 20. Say 26,000, 450 knots, and then they can provide come to waypoint 2, and then between waypoint 2 and 3 they will perform a cap. So option perform task orbit racetracks, that'll go between 2 and 3 at 450 knots. And their stop condition will be, and then we'll say 2 hours. They've got 3 bags on, so it should be quite well. It should be pretty good actually. I did a little test earlier of how much fuel a Super Hornet would use with 2 bags from the carrier all the way to the tanker. By the time they got to tanker here, they'd only used about 25%, and that was about an hour transit. So like I said, this mission is going to be long, but it should be fun. So they should be alright on station for 2 hours at least. In fact, solid. Let's make it 3, but then we'll put the condition in if they hit bingo, then they can RTB. So actually, we'll put that on. Put the bingo on waypoint 1 on naught. Sorry. So then that will apply to all. All phases, or all waypoints I should say. So there, and then they can go ahead and land. Cool, so happy with those. Next we'll start to look at building up the strike package now for his. So what does our plan ourselves in first? Because what they tend to do is, I think, with the supercarrier is as you create them, that will be the order in which they depart and spawn. So obviously I've got the helicopter was placed there first. That's going to go first. Then the AWACS is on the wrong way anyway, so that's going to go second. Next will be the cap for the AWACS. That'll go third, in theory, as well, because I think I had them on starting from parking hot anyway, so that's fine, yeah. Happy with that. So next it will be, I'll use us. So we should go next. So I want to make sure that we are on the ramp. I don't want to start the mission and it says, I just dropped my notepad there, idiot. I don't want us to be in the mission and it just comes up and says your start time is delayed because of X, Y, and Z, because there's not enough space on the ramp for us effectively. So yeah, that's going to be the plan. So we're dodge flight. So we'll just call ourselves user flight. So we'll be user flight 11. Dodge. So we dodge 21. I'm going to be the player. I'm going to take off from a ramp, which is fine. So let's come in here and select what we want, the weapons that we want to have on board. So bombs, like I said, we're going to use some JDAMs. In fact, we're using JDAMs, so we'll use the penetrators. Now, whether it's the right kind of weapon for the target that I'm going to go for, I'm assuming so. It's called a penetrator, and we're going to go and hit some hardened aircraft shelters. So for me, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, happy with that. Fuel, got plenty of fuel on board, so what we will do is we will hit the tanker once we get into Syria, and then we'll go up to it's like a holding point where once everybody's ready, we'll commence the push and hit the targets. So that's the idea anyway. So chaff flap, yeah, happy with that. Probably going to have more. No, in fact, we'll keep it 50-50 because, like I said, I might put in some hostile air threats, but we'll see how the mission goes. So I'm happy with that, to be fair. Okay, so gonna have a flight of 2. So my wingman, I'm gonna make him an ace. Just I want to make it easy for myself at the moment. I've not flown the Hornet for a while, so let's look at our routing now. So probably gonna have to come down here because I said from the previous one, Beirut's kind of neutral, but so we don't fly over that. Or Lebanon, I should say. And then Syria is a bit of the Syrian controlled area is a bit of a no-fly zone because we don't control it. So we'll come in here at Tanf, or however you want to call it, and then into our airspace where we can operate. So we'll come down here to Syria, as the border of Israel, sorry, and we'll hit that VOR there. And we want to be cruising quite high, so we want to be, say, something like 29,000 feet, 450 knots. And then we're probably going to come around here, somewhere like that. And then the border. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the tanker there. So we'll call this one air-to-air refueling point. And I think the tanker is operating at 21,000 feet. So we'll drop this down to 21. Which is fine. So we'll do the tanker there, and then we'll set ourselves up all around here. So everyone will be orbiting around here, and then we'll all push at various times. I think that's the best way to do it. Like I said, we might have some F-15Cs going in first. They can be the sweep, and then we'll follow in afterwards. So. Yeah, that's fine. So let's go. Oh no! So once we've done that, so I'll come up to here. See how far is that from? So it's about 35 miles. That's not too bad. If we're going to cap as well, let's just fly north. Then once we get there, we'll cap. something like that. So as you say, a 5, that'll be cape, so cap entry. No, cape, cap S, cap start. Then 6 will be cape, cap end. Then after that we'll go into our strike point. So for me, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and hit these hardened shelters here. So it can then be 0 because it will reset itself to the correct altitude for the land there. And this will be my target. And then we'll look to egress south, so we're out of the way of any following strike packages. Climb up to 26,000 feet there. And we'll probably hit the tanker again before we leave, just because it's going to be a long trip back. So I want to make sure that we've got plenty of gas. And then we'll go ahead and hightail it out of there. So then we'll climb up to like 30,000 feet. We'll come back here to Mother and land. That seems pretty cool. I think I'm happy with that. Again, I might play around with it and see what else we want to do. So I might make this the next waypoint next. I know there's a town there, so that can be like a reference guide. So that gives us the foundation at least anyway. Okay, so in fact let me check my wingman. So yep, he's fine there, dodge 2-2, still got the same, he's going to have the same weapons as me, which is fine. Again, I want to make sure, again, can always assign him with a different target on the flight. Yes, we actually want to make ourselves a ground attack roll, don't we? Cool. Right, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and save it. And let's just make sure that I spawn on the carrier rather than being told to wait. I shouldn't be being told to wait because I'm not late activated, I don't think. Not that I can remember. So it shouldn't be an issue. Ah, I know what I will do though. I'm going to put in some messages to myself from my wingman to let, because I can't at the minute. I can't call for his fuel state. He won't tell me, so I need to put in some triggers here for him to tell me what his fuel state is. There we go. Yeah, I'm on the run. Happy there. That's my wingman. So good. So I'll show you what I mean by the fuel states. So what I don't want to happen is my wingman to go, oh, I'm running out of fuel, and crash and burn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to here. So fuel states. So let's call this 90 fuel state. So what I'm going to say is if unit fuel is less than 90, which one am I? There you go. So I think she's a 1-1. It's 90. Then message to fair, I can do it to all because it's only me flying really. So so wingman fuel 90%. I'll play that for 20 seconds. Let me just make sure that it is. So I'm 1-1. Should be 1-2. So let's come back down to that. It's not. That's the one. Okay. So just like in the tutorial I made, you select your wingman or whoever you want, and you can just get them to sort of effectively. It's a way of them telling you their fuel state. So let's clone that and change this to 80. Change that to 80. Change that to 80. Clone again. 70. 70. And 70. 60. 60. And 60. 50. 50. 50. 40. 40. And 40. And then I'll do one more at 30. I've pressed the wrong one there on that 41, haven't I? So 40, that should be 20 seconds still. Okay, that way I know if my wingman needs to go and get some fuel, I can send him to get fuel rather than him just crashing, and it makes more sense. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there for this episode, and in the next episode we'll start building the other elements to our strike package. Okay, so until next time, I'll see you later. Goodbye.